Welcome to the second episode of the Vena show. That's still going to be a little bit weird for me to say. I'm not used to saying that, but welcome everybody to the second episode of the Vena show. Grateful to be on here. Again, I'm hoping to shed some light on stuff and really talk about some of the important topics that are going on here in California and in the rest of our great country. So I'll get right into it. Normally, the one book I always promote is the Lindsey Graham's book. What is it? Alphabet Prayers for Toddlers. This is a great book, especially with all the books that we've got going on that are being pushed on our kids. This book really, really, truly aligns with our belief system. It's an excellent book. It's been well illustrated. She was kind enough to sign my copy. I bought 4 of these books. I bought one for myself, one for my son, and then one for my niece and one for my nephew. And she was nice enough to sign it. She wrote in there, "We'll never stop fighting for you. To Aiden, love your dad." And she autographed the bottom of it. But if you guys are looking for a really, really good, wholesome book for your kids, this is definitely one of them. And you can find that on her Instagram page, or I believe it's Pretty Little Patriot. She sells all of her stuff there. The other thing that you guys are going to be hearing a lot of is the CEO Act. I'm going to be pushing this. I'm going to have a lot of people coming on to talk about this. This is really, really going to benefit children, and it's really going to be beneficial to parents, especially here in the state of California. More to come on the CEO Act, but I'm going to be talking about it a lot in the coming episodes. Second one, I don't have my water onto me. Shame on me, but also Freedom Water. I'll pretend to hold it up. Freedom Water. It's getting hot out there, so drink your Freedom Water. Go over to Freedom Water and pick yourself up a case. They're a water company that aligns with conservative beliefs, and they're not woke, which is good. The other thing that I want to talk about before I bring my guest on, a very special guest, is Jeff Younger. Jeff Younger's got a court case on August 2nd of this year. It's going to be a very important case, and please pray for Jeff Younger. This is really going to make some key decisions on his 12-year-old son. So please keep Jeff Younger in your prayers. The other thing is AB 1955 is coming up on Newsom's desk. I'm urging everybody to please call Gavin Newsom. His phone number is 916-445-2841. Please call and flood his office with phone calls. We really need this bill to get vetoed. This is going to be a bill that is going to really stop parental rights. They're going to keep secrets from parents. And I always say, if I want to know exactly what's going on with my kid, if it's as minor as a stub toe, I want to know what's going on. And this bill really, really digs real deep into keeping secrets from parents. So please go out and call his number. I'll give it out again. It's 916-445-2841. So yeah, please call him. Let's protect parental rights, and let's protect our kids. The other thing that I really want to talk about is, let me look at my notes here, I had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to screen The Sound of Hope. If you haven't heard of it, please go out and look it up. Oh, can you bring up Sound of Hope for me? Sorry, Christian, I'm getting new at this. Yes, Sound of Hope. If you guys could please go out and watch Sound of Hope. It is an absolutely amazing movie. I took a little notes on it. It's about a husband and wife, Donna and Reverend Martin, and they have compassion for 22 families in their community. They ended up adopting 77 kids in their small little community, and some of the most difficultly placed kids in the foster care system. So I really urge everyone to go check out this movie. It's in theaters now. It's an absolute excellent movie, and that's called Sound of Hope. The other thing that I want to talk about is if Christian could please bring up the Harrison one for me. This will be the last slide. Yes, I want to congratulate Harrison on his 100% custody of his son. Gays Against Groomers posted this today, and Harrison has won full custody of his little boy, and that's key. That's going to keep him in a safe home. His mother was trying to raise him non-binary. Harrison fought the good fight, and it took a little while, but he ended up getting full and 100% custody of his son. So I just want to say congratulations to Harrison. Me and Harrison talk daily, and I am so thrilled that this father got full custody of his son. He definitely deserves it, and that little boy definitely deserves his dad. So with that being said, I want to welcome my first guest to the Adam Vena Show, Seak Smith. Seak Smith is the founder of Mom and Dad Army. She has been here for me since day one, since Lindsey Graham posted about my story, and she has helped me fight for Aiden. And I couldn't think of a better person to have in studio. It just happened to work that way. To bring her in, and she's a fighter for children. She's a hell of a fighter for parental rights. And so many other things that Seak Smith is doing. So without further ado, my friend, a fierce fighter, Seak Smith.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
this is awesome. Look at this setup.
I know, it's pretty
amazing.
good.
Amazing. I love it. Yeah. No, it worked out. I happened to be in town and told you I was coming, and you were like, let's do it.
That's
so we're here.
I know. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to have all the conversations.
Yes.
There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on.
Yeah.
We've got AB 1955 that's headed to Newsom's desk, and that's going to, if that gets signed, that's going to really shift parental rights here in the state of California.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I mean, for the long fight, I mean, you and I have been up to the Capitol together. We were fighting hard last summer on AB 957. What's really interesting, I'm from California originally, but I now live in Arizona. But what's really interesting on the front of all these bills that are being passed in California is that, you know, there's a super majority of Democrats, super majority.
Yes.
And it is such an uphill battle to get Democrats to get behind bills that protect children, that safeguard children, that protect parental rights. When people ask, like, why is that? They just have such a different view on who children belongs to, right? Democrats think that children belongs to the state.
No.
You know, and for us, our belief system is our children are ours, right?
Yes.
And we get to raise them as we see fit. And so with AB 1955, we had Sabrina, our Mom Army in Sacramento, was at the Capitol, you know, there testifying to oppose the bill. And we know going into these fights that we're going to lose it. Like we're under no illusion that we're not going to lose it. So we knew it was going to pass. But what I want everyone to think about is, you know, we have to put up a fight regardless, even if we know going into the fight it's an uphill battle. So please call, you know, Gavin Newsom's number, email, post about it, share, spread the word, put pressure on him to veto this bill.
Yeah.
It does not bode well for him if he's aspiring to be a national figure, that he is, you know, going against parents. And what I want people to understand, too, is also look at what kind of solutions we need to come to unite on. The CEO Act we'll talk about more, but that's where I'm leaning, knowing that some of the fights against these bills are really tough.
Yeah.
We need to give parents choices and solutions. So we'll definitely touch on that.
Yeah. I think the school districts here in California have just completely run rampant, and they're not sticking. To me, it doesn't look like they're sticking to the basics that school should be.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be local control, right? When you think about school systems and school boards, it's supposed to be the local community that gets to have a say-so. The parents can are supposed to be able to go to these school board meetings, express their, their points of view. What California is doing that people need to understand is they're taking that local control away and putting it at the state and putting it in the governor's office.
Yeah.
That is not how our system should be run.
No. And Scott Wiener even said in a press conference, these are our kids. These are the government's kids in that one press conference. And I was like, easy, pal. These are not your kids. These are our kids.
Yeah. I'll never forget when I was up at the Capitol and I not confronted, let me rephrase that, but I wanted to ask Scott Wiener a question, and then 3 of his bodyguards, whisked him away.
Right.
Little old me, 5'2", and Scott Wiener, who's like 6, whatever, could not, answer a question. And who's paying for those bodyguards? Like, why is he walking around the Capitol with 3 bodyguards?
I know. And he runs and he rides public transit. I mean, he was trying to pass a bill that we're going to get off topic here for a second, but that he's trying to push a bill to limit the speed in vehicles.
Yeah.
So once you go over 65, he wants the car to beep at you. But yet San Francisco is falling apart. Yeah. It's not a safe city to be in, and he's not focused on the... Well,
that's the thing, right? You hope that people would wake up to these, like one of the solutions that we always talk about, and what we're doing with, at Mama, and we probably should go into who we are and what we do, and we will, but we need to look at, these solutions is we have to put good people in these positions. We've been so complacent that these people with really ill intent and bad, agendas are the ones in power making decisions for us. So we've got to change that, number one.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, there's definitely a super majority here in California. Mm-hmm. And some of the bills that they're passing and some of these people are just not thinking common sense.
No.
No. And, I can't wrap my head around, what I'm seeing.
Yeah, we were just saying earlier, right? We're like, I can't believe we're even touching, like the fact that we're even talking about these things. They're mind blowing. Like the fact that we're here. And that's, and honestly, that's how Mom Armory got started, because what we were seeing all around us.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got started with your first thing that you started, the Badass Do-Gooders, and then how you got into Mom and Dad Army.
Yeah, so I'll go really far back, but I'll make it quick.
Perfect.
But, I immigrated here as a refugee from Cambodia. So my dad escaped genocide and communism in Cambodia. So I have that part of my backstory, which... With everything going on, I mean, we can clearly see, the overreach of government, right? The authoritarianism, the tyranny of what our government is doing. And people are feeling it. They're like, something's off. Something's not right, right? And so that's a big part of my identity and who I am. And another part of my advocacy work, I do talk a lot about anti-communism and what that looks like and how we're dealing with it here. So that's just one part of it. But I grew up in Los Angeles, very poor. My parents aren't the successful immigrant story that you hear a lot about. We were on welfare and food stamps my whole entire childhood. I lived in the projects in South LA at the Pueblo del Rio, for anybody who is familiar with that area. Right just north of Watts and Compton. And, and then I went to Crenshaw High School where I met my husband. We're still married and have 3 wonderful children.
Your husband's awesome.
He's amazing. I couldn't do what I do without him, honestly. I mean, he's my biggest cheerleader, my biggest supporter, really understands how important it is for me to do the work that I do. And he supports every bit of it, hence why I'm traveling and doing all these things. But yeah, so, and what happened was about almost 15 years ago, I was driving home listening to talk radio, KABC, Doug McIntyre. They were talking for all the LA people watching. They might know who I'm talking about.
Right.
But I've always been very politically engaged and knowledgeable about a lot of issues. And there was this really horrific case on the radio about a 9-year-old girl who was being sold for $100 by her 15-year-old stepsister to 5 men. Without going into details of the case, it was in the sentencing phase.
Right.
And I was hearing the details of it, and my heart just shattered, into a million pieces. And that was the moment I couldn't unhear it. I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't unfeel it. And I started to figure out how could I get involved and fight child trafficking. And that led me to a whole bunch of stuff. I started volunteering for an organization in New York. I became their LA ambassador. I started putting gala fundraisers together with up-and-coming actresses in LA. I'm actually staying here with my friend Anna Lynn, who's an actress that I met through my work in anti-trafficking. And there was a lot of young and up-and-coming actresses that were very concerned about the issue, and they used their platform to speak about it. And I really admired them for it. They were like in their early 20s doing this. And anyway, so fast forward, I did everything, sat on panels, wherever I can bring awareness. But I remember that long ago, people thought I was crazy. Like, this is not real. This isn't happening. What do you mean trafficking children for sex?
And I don't think trafficking's always been there, but I don't think it has hit the forefront like it's hit in the last, five years,
I would
maybe?
say,
5 years.
That's
I knew,
right.
I always knew that there was trafficking and child trafficking and human trafficking. But I didn't hear about it until almost probably like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
that it really hit the forefront on everything.
Yeah, so I remember for so much of my advocacy work there and fighting that, you couldn't get any traction because people were like not aware of it. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't like national news and front page news.
Why do you think that is?
Well, we know now.
Yeah.
We know why now,
Right.
but I think back then we're just thinking like people just, I think people are in disbelief when, there's this duality. We exist in our own little world, right? We have alternate universes, I want to say. So you live in your own existence, right? Your family, your work, and you're just living your life. So it's hard to think outside of yourself on these horrible things that are going on. So I think that was one challenge, right? People just didn't believe that it was happening. And until it got to this pressure point where people started to really understand that this is becoming a huge problem and not just something happening in a third world.
Right.
We're talking about in our backyard here in the U.S. and how prevalent and how rampant it is. So there was that. And then, during the lockdowns, during COVID, I was watching, my city get burnt down. And I was really upset because I'm like, well, if people are out in the streets for that, what about the children? So I coordinated a rally, a protest, August of 2020 with a couple of friends, my friend Ashley and this guy who probably a lot of people follow, Scotty the Kid. And we put together a rally in Hollywood, and like 2,500 people showed up for this rally during the lockdowns. And it was a Save Our Children rally.
Right.
And so that's a little bit of like, my fight and what I do. But where it led to was I eventually moved out of LA, moved to Arizona for a couple of different reasons. One, our daughter was becoming a teenager, didn't want to raise her here anymore. My husband had the opportunity to relocate for work. So for that reason, we ended up in Arizona. Best decision we made. I really love it there. I found my fierce warriors.
Minus the hot. Minus the heat in Arizona. I love Arizona.
Yeah, you're going to end up there. That's your second home. We love having you every time you come into town, right? And I was noticing there was this uptick in attacks on children. And I looked at my husband one day, we were driving to go to dinner, and I said, something's going on. Like, there's this relentless attacks on our children. And I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling like, what's happening? And that was like...
was there something specific in Arizona?
No, it wasn't. It was just this overwhelming sense of like, every institution was coming after our children, education, entertainment, in the medical system and all these things. And I looked at him and he said, you guys need to, you work with all these incredible women across the country and, and advocates for children. You guys need to come together in one unified voice. He's like, kind of like MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. He was like, you need to be like a lobbying group, and be more organized. And the light bulb, of course, went off, and that's what he does. He'll usually plant a seed, and then I'll start thinking about it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I should do that. And I started calling friends and Zooming with people and reaching out. And we initially launched as Million Outraged Moms. Quickly morphed into Mom Army. Like a week later, we became Mom Army. And I gave everybody their photo. I had everybody send me their photos in black and white, and then they got the logo. I sent them the graphic. We all posted on Instagram the same day, and it just took off. Started getting messages from all over the world, from moms in Peru and New Zealand and Ireland and Spain. And people were telling me that what we were dealing with, they were dealing with as well. And that was when the whole gender stuff was starting to really peak out. And I felt like I just got thrust into all of it. And I just became an advocate, and I really wanted to bring people together. And so that's essentially how Mom Memory got started on Instagram. And we grew very quickly to 20 chapters within like a month or two across the country. I had people submitting applications to join.
Who was your first chapter member?
Oh, gosh. Thinking back, there was multiple because I was doing interviews.
I should say you were the first chapter.
I'm the founder, yeah.
The founder, and then the second person.
Well, it's interesting because Lindsay, Patriot Barbie,
Right.
and Kaylee, they were all part of it from the very beginning because they all live in Arizona with me. And so I became, I'm very fortunate to call Lindsay Graham and Kaylee my friend.
They're great people.
Amazing women. I mean, fierce fighters and protectors of children. So I found my tribe in Arizona to do this, and then it just spread all over the country. But California is our biggest presence. We have more chapters in California than anywhere else.
How many chapters do we have?
I want to say it's 10.
Okay.
10 active ones, and there's a few other ones that aren't as active. But it became now, for what we're doing, very quickly, we became a survivor-led organization. What was happening, our mission is to protect children and safeguard them from predators, from trafficking, from sexual abuse, and to really do prevention work and anti-grooming work. And I started to attract a lot of survivors into my group. So more than half of our moms are survivors of child sexual abuse, and some even trafficking.
Yeah.
So we're a little different. People kind of...
I think the survivor-led, I think, is key because they can pick up on key things, and see stuff that people that have never had that really traumatic experience happen to them, they can pick up on those little hidden things, be like, wait, there's something wrong with this kid, or there's something wrong with this
situation.
This situation, and really shed more light. So I think that's really, really good.
You nailed it. I mean, that's I'm learning so much from them because they see it from a mile away.
Right.
They see abuse, they see grooming, because they would tell me, they're like, Seek, it didn't start with the sexual abuse. It started with showing me pornography. It started with, and these when they were children. And so we see this fight very differently from that lens, and I'm so grateful for that these moms are rising up.
Did they ever say what led to the father or the mother, or like in that one lady's case, the sister, to do that kind of stuff? Did they ever say what was the cause of them to start doing that?
In terms of the abuse?
The abuse that...
Well, the more I've been doing this work, it's, people need to understand 90% of abusers are people the child knows.
Right.
It's people within the family, people within their family, their friend circle. So it's not some stranger.
Right.
That's a very small percentage, And with the internet, you are getting strangers, abusing children through, DMing them and manipulating them in that. So, and that's a whole nother topic too, and I'm sure we'll touch on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's what's uniquely different about us. We get lumped into a lot of the other parent rights groups. And although we do some stuff in the parent rights activism, a lot of our work is on the, the trauma and sexual abuse of children. But it overlaps with the stuff that's going on, at the legislative level with policy and stuff that's going on in the schools and the books. People keep accusing us of wanting to burn books. I try to tell people, do not use their language.
Right.
Because that's what they do. They exaggerate our position and make it, and it's like, oh, they just want to burn books. It's like, no, we want age appropriate materials for children.
Yes.
There's labels on movies, right? Age restriction on movies.
Right.
There's all kinds of stuff that kids shouldn't have access to.
Right.
But anyways,
I think the only book that has been ever banned from the schools was the Bible. And I think that was in maybe Christian can correct me on this, maybe it was 1964 was when they banned the Bible from schools.
Yeah, but look how hard it is for us to remove these books from schools. We're not saying you can't buy it. You can go on Amazon, you can go on Barnes & Nobles, you can go to, there's many ways to get it. We are saying that children should not be exposed to these very vile, inappropriate
Right. And that should be the parents' choice. If the parents want to introduce these books, I don't think any child should see any of these books. But if the parents want to, then it's their decision to do that. But it's not the schools, it's not the governments to introduce these books.
Yeah, and that's the fight right now, right? It's just you have I mean, there's so many wonderful organizations out there, Moms for Liberty, Moms for America, Independent Women's Network. I work with all of them. We collaborate and we try to, lock arms so that we can, unite, with one mission. But yeah, it's baffling. And I think what I can say too, it feels very overwhelming because there's a lot coming at us. But I always want to tell people, it's like, pick the one thing that's really important to you.
Right. Yeah.
Do that. But by all means, don't do nothing. Don't sit down and do nothing. Yeah.
And I think, especially being here in California, these parents are being bombarded every single minute of every single day with, with SB107 that's affecting Jeff Younger right now. We had 665, 957. Yeah. Now we've got,
but that's what they do. The what I call the Marxist left communist side of things is, if you look at communism, there are very clear indicators of what the communists stand for. Separation of children from parents. That's what's happening right now. Children are being separated from parents. They're putting wedges between us. So that's one aspect of communism that is clearly taking place, and that's what I try to get people to connect the dots on, to understand that this is something bigger than anything we've had to deal with.
Yeah. So we're almost seeing like what was it, the Red Guard or the Mao Revolution with the separation of children and parents and everything like that. Correct?
What they do is they indoctrinate our children, brainwash them, and then they want to revolutionize our children, turn them into little revolutionaries, and they go to have our children go against us. And what are we seeing on the college campuses? I was
just going to say, well, what are we seeing on the college campus? No matter what side of the aisle you are on any of that, those kids have been revolutionized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's what people really need to see, the bigger picture of what's happening. And what kind of country are we going to have if our children are being weaponized against us?
Yeah, I've never seen. I'm 44 years old. My dad's almost 80 years old. And at 44, I'm still scared of my dad.
Yeah.
I respect that man so much. But what I see in kids nowadays, they don't respect. I know it's going to sound old, but they don't respect their elders anymore. They don't respect their parents. They don't respect authority. And yet, nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah. And it's a cultural thing too, right? I mean, I think that's the other thing that's so difficult for us to penetrate our message, is because, the other side has media, they have Hollywood, they have even the cartoons now are getting very political, right? Yes. And, here we are just trying to protect our children and their innocence, and then everything's coming at them. So I always tell parents, who's your kid's biggest influence? Is it you, or is it the outside world?
Do you think kids have, good mentors or good role models these days?
No, because if you look at music and you look at, film and you look at a lot the popular culture, it's become such a debauchery. I mean, I remember growing up in the 90s, by no means. I mean, I grew up in hip-hop, LA hip-hop 90s, Ice Cube, Lil Kim. I mean, there's tons of stuff during that era. But there's something so sinister about what you're seeing now. If you watch the Grammys, and by all means, I grew up Buddhist. I'm not a Christian.
Right.
So I'm not some prude, some zealot religious person, but at the same time too, I know when I see something that's clearly wrong. I mean, you turn the television on, you turn the Grammys on, and people are dressed as demons and the devil, and I'm like, what is that about? Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's almost glorified. Yeah. That whole Satan worshiping and all that is almost glorified now.
Yeah. Well, you've got the Temple of Satan clubs at schools.
I know.
You know what I mean? And when you tell people that, they don't believe it. And it's like, no, all of this is happening. It's been happening.
Right.
And then you need to get involved. I mean, if you're sending your children to public school, which I do, my daughter is at a public school. And if you don't do your due diligence and stay involved and be engaged and make yourself known to the administrators and the schools, you could lose track of what's actually going on. And then,
it's almost like California. I say California because this is where I live. I don't know how other states, but they've done this by design.
Yeah.
They have made it, in my opinion, so difficult for parents to stay engage with their kids. I mean, we got parents working 3 jobs, paying $5.50 a gallon for gas. Now they want to start charging us by the gallon. But anyways, these poor parents, they're working so much just to keep a roof and everything, all the basics for their kids. They don't have time to go to the school board meetings or go to talk to the schools. And it's really, really sad.
Yeah. And on that, I really do want to touch on the CEO Act. So with the crazy bills being passed at the Capitol, with them trying to make, take away local control of schools,
right,
with everything that's going on, the pornography in schools and the books and the crazy activist teachers that are trying to infiltrate and poison young impressionable minds. For Mom Army and for Dad Army, which you're part of, we really want to focus on solutions. So for our organization, it's, yes, bring awareness to the things that are happening, but we can't just sit and just scream and complain about everything that's going on, right?
Right.
That will only get you so far. So for us, we really want to get behind initiatives, get behind solution-based things that can really help, move the needle. So one of the things we're getting behind, I've gotten to know Kevin McNamee, who is the author of this ballot initiative. And for those that are familiar with California politics, the Protect Kids California ballot initiative that ended up not getting enough signature. Still, I think it's really impressive what they did. Grassroots effort, no money, no funding. 400,000 signature is unheard of in such a short amount of time. I want to say they did it in like 3 months.
3 months, yeah.
You know what I mean? And with a very small ground team. Imagine getting something like a CEO Act. So basically what the CEO Act is...
And I said that when I was in Oakland. We needed the Republican... We needed the RNC or whatever they call it to back this. We needed more people to come out and talk about this. And I didn't hear any big talking heads out there that supposedly want to protect children. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear any. I think I heard one person talk about it, the last 2 weeks of signature signing, and that was it. The rest, like you said, the rest of it was grassroots. And for a grassroots organization to take time out, spend their own money on banners and paper. Yes, it's disappointing that we didn't get it on this thing, but we still collected 400,000 signatures.
I mean, I think that's huge.
And shout out to Orange County, because my hometown, Monrovia, I got 10 signatures, 8 hours worth of work, and I got yelled out by one father. I went to Orange County. Shout out to Seal Beach, 250 signatures. Yeah,
and our Temecula chapter leader, Stephanie, did one signature gathering at a church and got over 600 signatures at one location. So it's amazing. I mean, imagine multiplying, you and Stephanie and everybody in our, a lot of our chapter leaders stepped up and helped gather signatures. And of course, everybody else who was part of it. I commend everyone's hard work. What I want to see is taking that infrastructure that we built with the Protect Kids California and moving it over to the CEO Act.
Yeah.
So the CEO Act is basically a ballot initiative, unlike any bill where the governor can veto or sign it. This one goes straight to the people for a vote. It's school choice. The money is tied to your child.
Yeah.
So $17,000 per student per year that you would be able to have the choice to send your kid to any school. It could, if it's public school, sure, that's your choice.
Right.
Private school, charter school, homeschooling, religious schools, whatever you feel is right for your child. That is empowering parents and giving parents choices. Right now, parents in California feel like they don't have a choice.
Right. And I think it's going to put the school districts in check.
Yeah.
If this passes and more kids, because we all know school districts can be paid by attendance, right?
And we can do it.
Yes.
If we start now, this is not going on to the 2024 ballot, it's going on to the 2026 ballot.
2026.
We have 2 years. We have 2 years to organize. We have 2 years to get the infrastructure and get the message out. So I'm officially on board with the team as their director of media and marketing. So I will be getting behind this and organizing and building the coalition to get the signatures that we need to pass this. So I want, and all you have to do is go to educational, what's the website again?
Opportunity.org.
Yep. Educationopportunity.org. Go sign up. There's a number you can text to get alerts and information on it. We want 1.5 million people to commit and pledge to signing this ballot initiative before the first printing is even done for the signature gathering. And I know we can do it because parents are fed up.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, you're getting $17,000 a year. You're getting 17,000. If this, like the way it was explained to me, you're going to get, if the school's 7,000, you still have that 10,000 in this private account that you can't spend it on anything else.
Only for education. Yeah.
Only for education, but that 10,000 will start accruing interest.
Yeah. So it's like a
year.
Savings account. It goes into an ESA. So we have it in Arizona too. So it's a savings account that accumulates interest.
How is that working in Arizona?
It's great, but the problem with Arizona, it was passed through the legislative process. So every freaking day, the Democrats are threatening to defund it. They're threatening to remove it.
Right.
Katie Hobbs it got renewed for the next school year, for 2024 and 2025 school year, but it's always under threat. What California is doing that is brilliant, it's going straight to the people.
California's doing something brilliant?
Yes. This is what I commend Kevin for doing it this way. What people have to understand is because it's not going through the legislative process, it's not going to get under threat of being vetoed or being defunded. Through the ballot initiative process, the only way to remove it, if the people says, yes, we want to pass this, you have to introduce another ballot initiative and gather signatures to remove the CEO Act.
That's awesome.
That's going to take a lot of money, a lot of organization. So I think that's a brilliant strategy to do something that's going to stick and be set firm. But we're excited for Mom and Dad Army. We're getting behind it. We're organizing with Kevin to really get this going and building the coalition and the partnerships across the state and across the country. Can you imagine if California passes a school choice initiative? Other states it's going to be a domino effect.
Oh, absolutely.
And my goal is to get the language of this ballot initiative and get other states to start picking up on it and get them ready to work on this as well. So it's not just California.
Right.
That if Texas could do it, if Utah could do it.
I'm surprised Texas doesn't do it.
Texas is interesting on the homeschooling front. Homeschooling, the challenge with this kind of initiative, homeschooling parents don't want the government telling them what to teach.
Okay.
Kevin has done a really great job making sure that you don't need to be vaccinated. So under this, the language is really done well.
Yeah.
You don't have to be vaccinated in order to qualify for the CEO Act. So there's no like with all the public school, they're requiring your kids to be vaccinated.
Right.
You can take advantage of this program and your kids don't have to be vaccinated.
That's huge.
Yeah. So he's doing a lot of things, making sure it's constitutional, making sure there's no challenges in the courts. So there's a lot of back work that's being done to make sure that this is still tight.
Yeah, when I sat on that Zoom meeting that you guys set up, it was really, really informative.
Yeah.
And
I'm excited.
It's airtight.
Yeah.
And we've got what are we, 2 years to start? 2 years to start.
I say a year and a half because you want to get all the signatures together and then get it qualified for the 2026 ballot. So we have a little under 2 years, but I think we can do it. And so those are the kinds of things I want people to understand. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling like you can't sit by and do nothing anymore, that you want to get involved, I always say doesn't have to be Mom Army, doesn't have to be Dad Army. You know, get involved with some organization or some group that's giving you the resources, the training. We do leadership training. We do, a lot of, connecting with each other and helping each other out and stuff. So that's just one aspect of getting behind something that's going to be solution-based and not constantly complaining about all the things that the battles that we're losing. I want to go into the battles that we're going to win.
Yeah, because I think this is going to be the way that we defeat, even if AB 1955.
Doesn't matter what passed.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They can pass all the bills as long as we have this in play. We can teach our kids whatever we want to teach them. Yeah, and I've met some homeschooled kids that are absolutely
brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant.
My friend I'm staying with, she was homeschooled. She graduated at 15. She's one of the smartest people I know.
Yeah.
And her and her sisters end up homeschooling themselves because their mom wasn't doing such a great job at it. But they were just avid learners, Because
I don't see how kids can learn when the classroom is 35, 38 people. That a teacher can't sit down, and if a child is struggling like I struggled in school, you can't sit down with that child and try to help them through that. And I wish class sizes would get smaller for kids.
Yeah, and
but
this will be one solution. So,
yeah.
And the other thing too, some of the initiatives we're getting behind too. We have I want to make sure Adam Boyd, who's part of our Dad Army,
yes,
is we're working with him, and we have an initiative called Tour de Patriot. He's doing a 1,200-mile ride to highlight our 13 original colonies, starting in New Hampshire, ending in Savannah in September. So it kicks off September 3rd and ends in Savannah September 28th. You can go to tourdepatriot.com to look up that initiative. And that one, it's really a cultural thing. We want to reignite patriotism.
And it's something positive.
It's something
With all
positive.
the negative, it's something positive.
Yeah, we want... And we want to tie it to homeschooling. How could you learn about the 13 colonies? You could do it through the Tour de Patriot. And he's stopping in all these incredible historical sites and taverns. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm super stoked about it. I've been working with him on this for many months now. I mean, like most of this year.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that we're doing. Mom Army has we have our first gala fundraiser August 8th in Phoenix. That one we're launching our Hope Box project. And I want to share a little bit about the Hope Box project because a lot of our moms are survivors of child sexual abuse. We had an incident with one of our chapter leaders where her niece by marriage, who's 11, was sexually abused, and by her 14-year-old older cousin. And she ended up disclosing the abuse because she has an 8-year-old sister that she was worried was going to also be abused. So it propelled her to share, to tell. A lot of times kids they don't tell because they're threatened.
Right.
They're shameful. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, the average age of someone disclosing sexual abuse is 52.
Jeez.
So when a child does it, it's really the bravest thing they can do. And we realized that there wasn't a lot of resources for children who were disclosing sexual abuse, a lot of resources for adult survivors. And so we're coming together to curate a box of resources and comfort items and things that can help the child start their healing journey. So we're fun, and we've got some amazing people contributing to the box.
What kind of stuff are you putting in the boxes?
The truthful therapist, Pam, is contributing a resource of different types of therapy the child can start on. Okay. So there's so many different ways to address this. She's compiled a very extensive list for us, as a resource. My friend Dr. Adrienne Fletcher, who's a survivor of child trafficking by her own father, she has a poetry book that she has written and published. She's gonna put some excerpts of those poetry in that's more age appropriate for that age group in there. We're going to have a playlist of comforting music and inspiring music for the child. We put together a beautiful video that speaks to the child. It's a really personal project to a lot of us, and we're really, really proud of it.
That's awesome.
And so it's our second anniversary, August 8th, of our launch, and then we want to fundraise for the box. And we're looking to partner with an organization in Arizona that serves this population of children who are sexually abused.
Would that be like in the foster care system or just in general?
No, this particular organization intakes children who disclose sexual abuse, and they take them through. It's a really impressive program. Under one roof, the evidence is collected. There's examinations. There's a clinic on site. There's police departments on site that takes the reports. The AG's office is there if you want to press charges. There's therapists on site to help the child. There's resources and clothes and all sorts of stuff because especially if the abuse is happening in the home, the whole that child's life gets completely destroyed. And so this organization, I'm having a meeting on Friday with the president, hoping to solidify a partnership with them so that we can give them the Hope Box and have them distributed to that population of children who are abused. So that's another big initiative of ours that we're really, really proud of.
Yeah.
But those are the things that we really get involved with. We're very focused on policy making. So we do a lot of work at state capitals to get behind bills. In Arizona, there's a ballot initiative to make trafficking of children and selling children and buying children lifetime in prison.
Yeah, I think California's got, it was a SB
1414.
Yes.
Big fight. The crazy thing with SB 1414 is they want to carve out and take away 16 and 17-year-olds.
Scott Wiener said it was overreaching.
So California, first of all,
that guy gives me a headache.
Well, here's the thing. California, it's a misdemeanor to sell children and buy children. SB 14 last year was a misdemeanor to traffic children. Gavin Newsom vetoed it, and there was a big uproar across the country. We were part of that. And then he changed his mind and then passed the bill. But this go around is SB 1414, which is to penalize and make it a felony for you to buy children for sex. And the Democrats want to carve out and say, no, just 15 and under, not 16 and 17 don't qualify for this bill. So they're saying, so it's because they're saying it's targeting Black and brown people and it's targeting the LGBTQ community. And in my head, I'm like, what? We are talking about the selling of children.
Right.
How about my husband was like, how about we don't sell people, period? Doesn't matter what age they are.
Exactly.
How about we don't buy people, period? I thought slavery ended, right?
Right. Of course, it doesn't matter what you're religious, what color you are, nothing like that. You're selling people and you're selling children.
For sex.
For sex.
Yeah, for violating them sexually. So the California Democrats are just crazy. Look, Democrats across the country, and I've been at the Capitol in Arizona with my friend Kaylee, and when she testifies.
That was another bill that should have been passed during
Kaylee's law. Yeah, Kaylee's law got killed in the hearing right away here in California. She's coming back. She's not done. She's coming back next year.
I would like to have her on too.
Yeah, you should definitely have her on. But this is what I hear. I'll share this one. There was a hearing on a bill in Arizona, and they shared a story about a 2-year-old kid who was sexually abused and then ended up dying. Right after that testimony of that particular story, a Democrat says, well, I really don't want to put more people in jail. And to me, it's mind-blowing for a legislator to sit there and listen to this horrific story of a 2-year-old being brutally abused, sexually abused, for her to come back and say, well, I can't support this bill because I don't want to put more people in jail. That's what we're dealing with.
We're dealing with feelings and emotions.
I mean,
we're not dealing with facts.
We have people who are more interested in protecting predators than protecting and safeguarding children.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they happen to be mostly Democrats. That's the truth. And I'm not.
No.
For a long time, I was a registered independent here in California. And
I've always said it. It doesn't matter whether, especially when it comes to this parental rights and everything like that. It doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat or independent. They're coming after everyone's kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, and look, I will align myself with anybody who wants to protect children. I don't care if you have a D in front of your name, if you have an R, if you're an independent, you're a libertarian. Doesn't matter, because protecting children shouldn't be political. But sadly, in the environment that we're in today, it's hyper political. I mean, we get accused of all sorts of stuff. We get, we get accused of being transphobic and homophobic because we end up sharing a story of a trans person who was sexually abusing a child.
Right.
The commonality of the stories that we share is that they're all predators and they're all pedophiles. Yes. I don't care if they're a priest, a teacher, a soccer coach, a lawyer, a doctor, or a trans person, or a gay person, or straight. The common thread of the people that we expose on the stories that we share, they're all pedophiles.
Yeah.
And so when people come at us and go, why are you attacking the trans community and why are you attacking gay people? I'm like, no, I'm attacking pedophiles.
Yeah.
Because you look really bad protecting pedophiles right now.
Did you hear that Did you see that video that they posted on Instagram about some lady called into a radio station and was standing up for pedophiles, and now they want to add the P to the LGBTQ.
Or the maps.
yeah.
It's crazy.
The look on the two people's faces were like...
I saw that. Yeah, we shared that podcast.
Yeah. I couldn't...
No,
I can't believe we're in this day and age that people are trying to protect pedophiles.
Yeah. And they sound really nice, and they sound very academic, and they really believe the things that they are saying. They don't understand. I work with survivors. The damage sexual abuse does to a child, it destroys their life. It destroys their future. They're never the same.
No.
That child before the abuse and who that child was supposed to come is completely diverted because of the abuse that they've had to suffer. And it's a long journey to healing. It's a continuing healing. I mean, and for that reason, this is why I'm so passionate about this issue. And if you look at all of societal ills, I can almost guarantee you, if you look at someone who's addicted to drugs, if you look at somebody who's homeless, if you look at somebody who, is having mental, challenges and issues, I guarantee you, if you really get to the root of the problem, it is sexual abuse as a child. I don't have the studies to back it up, but I just know anecdotally from working with a lot of people who are survivors of sexual abuse,
Right.
that is the root cause of a lot of trauma that you see, including the trans issue. And I have a lot of gay friends who would tell me that in the gay community, there's a very high percentage of them being sexually abused as children.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can.
But nobody wants to talk about it.
No. And I'm sure social media doesn't help
Yeah.
with a lot of that stuff either.
No, because there's a lot of censorship. I mean, if you want to, you get censored, I get censored. I mean, I'll share one example. I mean, we were gaining tons of followers at the beginning of when we launched. We have been stuck at 27,000 followers since October of last year when we did our Stop the War on Children rally. We have not ticked up one bit of followers. And that's been, 9-10 months now?
Yeah.
That we have not gained one new follower?
Right.
That's very peculiar.
And mom and dad, Mom Army a little bit more, but Mom and Dad Army is being tagged in almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way that you stay idled at that amount of followers for almost a year.
But then you have to ask the question, why? Why are we being censored? When you're talking about groups that are trying to protect children,
right?
Why are we being censored?
Well, I posted a picture of Gavin Newsom's number and then all the state assembly numbers to vote no, and they flagged me.
Yeah.
I posted something from the Outraged Teens, giving his personal opinion, saying, I think it's time that, parents pull their kids out of public schools. And that was my third strike on Instagram.
The first time we got flagged, got a warning from Instagram, I posted the definition of mama bears. And it said that if you come after my children, like I'm,
Right.
And the warning was that we were inciting violence for sharing the definition of mama bear. I mean, that's how absurd it is.
Yeah.
But you can see a Instagram page that's clearly pedophilic in nature, that's like posting young girls, and you see the comments of these sick bastards in there. You report that, and they're like, oh, no, they're not violating community guidelines. I mean, I have screenshots of all of that. I mean, that's how crazy. And then you have to ask, who's running these organizations and these companies?
Right.
Who's at the helm?
Yeah, it's real. Who is at the helm? That'd be that'd be a nice.
That's a whole nother rabbit hole to go
down. I know.
But, when it comes to trafficking, I mean, we all see it. You have stories like, Epstein Island.
I mean, Ted Cruz was showing, they're so well organized, these traffickers.
Yep.
They were showing wristbands of different colors and IDs, and why that doesn't.
It's such a profitable criminal enterprise. You got to think, if you're trafficking drugs or guns, you have to invest in that, right? You have to buy the guns, you have to buy the drugs, and you have to try and sell it.
Right.
With trafficking of people, you don't have to do
I can't
any
believe
of that. And you can sell that child and that person over and over and over again. So it's highly profitable. And now you have the internet. You have this communication channel that makes it so easy for traffickers to sell. And do what they do, where before they had to have their network and underground, but now it's just out there in the open. Yeah. And our laws aren't catching up.
No, we're so far behind.
We're not enforcing the laws that are already on the books, and it's so hard to fight this because, again, you have Democrats who are just like, we don't want to put more people in jail.
Right.
Well, you're lucky it's jail because that's my compromise. I'm like, you don't want to know what I actually want to do to these people.
Right. And then they advertise. I saw a post. So they're advertising to make sure that you still under $900.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're in this really strange time. It's a really peculiar time to be alive right now. There's some really good parts about it, but then there's parts of it you're like, wait, you don't put people in jail for committing these crimes, but you're one great example is like, the kid that drove over the Pride sidewalk,
Yes.
Right? He's being charged with a felony. He's 18, but you can prance around at you can do sex acts at a San Francisco Pride event in front of children. That's fine. No one's getting arrested for that.
Right. Or you can buy a 16-year-old. That's okay, but 15 is not okay. However that bill is.
No, you're right. Exactly. That's how upside down things are right now. And it's driving it's driving me nuts. And then you have to kind of put light to some of this too. with our leadership training, because we're in a dark place. We're working. We're talking about the abuse of children. So I always tell my moms, I'm like, we have to bring light and love into the situation, because otherwise you'll just be mired in all the darkness and the sadness of what's going on. I always joke, I'm like, I wake up and I look at my DMs and people share stuff with us all the time. And it looks like another episode of South Park constantly, because it's so
How they have not been kicked off TV?
But it's one ridiculous thing after the other. Just like, how are we here? And so I urge people to get involved. I urge people to not sit by. The reason why it's gotten so bad, because so many of us are just living our lives. And I understand that.
Right.
I do. I understand that people are just trying to survive, especially now with inflation and the economy being the way it is. But what kind of future are we going to have if we don't fight now? We leave this to our children to fight.
And at this point,
and I don't want to do that.
No, we're losing a whole generation of children right now. I mean, I feel so bad for these kids.
Yeah.
So bad for these kids.
Yeah. And I think that's, and for, parents who are very vigilant, need to really stay on top of things.
Yeah.
Because my goal is to be my children's biggest influence, raise children with strong core values, strong moral values that are kind and compassionate, and that they get to influence their friend circle. You want to raise warriors who don't go along with,
And you've raised some pretty good kids.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're amazing. We were in our family chat today, and the things that my boys are doing, I'm really, really proud of them.
Yeah.
But if we think about who the kids that we're raising, we want to raise children that can impact and influence other children around them.
Yes.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And that's how we change things.
Yeah. So we're getting close to wrapping it up here. What would be your call to action for parents in these crazy times?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touch on that throughout the show, but I think one is do what's best for your family first and foremost, right? Like, we get overwhelmed trying to change what's going on around us, and and it's counterintuitive, the advice I'm giving right now, because obviously we're an organization trying to change things, but it starts in the home. It always does, right? You talk about it a lot, right? Kitchen table conversations.
Yeah.
Are you talking to your kids?
Yeah.
Are you involved with what they're doing? Are you learning to understand who they are at their soul level?
Yeah,
right?
bringing back the dinner table.
Yeah. Yeah, getting to know your kids better, and then being their influence, teaching them right from wrong, teaching them to stand up for what's right.
Get rid of the cell phones.
Yeah, I mean, I would say when it comes to technology, because I know what I know with the work that I'm doing, it's dangerous to actually give your kids social media. Our daughter is turning 14. She doesn't care for it. She doesn't even
14
ask for it.
Folks, no social media.
No.
Find another 14-year-old in the United States that doesn't have
She doesn't ask for it. She doesn't care. She likes to knit. She likes to draw. She likes to paint. She loves to do nails. She's just into like normal teenage things that has nothing to do with social media.
That's awesome.
I can barely get her on her phone. I call her today and I'm like, she doesn't pick up. And when I finally get a hold of her, she's like, I'm like, where's your phone? It's always somewhere else. She's not attached to it. So she doesn't have anxiety around her phone or feeling like she's missing out or anything. So I think keeping social media away from your kids is one way to fight this.
Yeah. And I think my call to action for everybody, like Seek mentioned, is the bringing back the dinner table. I'll say it on every episode. When I was a kid, I thought it was stupid. I wanted to be out playing with friends and playing outside. But now that I'm older, I realize the significance of sitting at the dinner table with mom and dad and brother. Like Seek also said, you're learning everything from your kids. We didn't have this when I was a kid, but they're around. Put them away, put them in another room, turn them off, and just sit, have dinner, and talk with your kids, because you're going to learn so much about your kids.
Yeah, and they teach you a lot of stuff. That's the other part.
Yeah, lingos and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I know. I'm so grateful for our friendship. And we didn't get to touch on how we met, but Lindsay will help with that.
Yes. And then maybe we'll do one episode of all three of us on.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I know you're super busy.
Thank you thank you for fighting. Thank you for, despite what you're having to deal with personally, that you feel it's important to to get loud about everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And we need more of it. So I appreciate your voice in all of this.
Thank you, Seek. I appreciate
Thanks.
it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight or today or whenever you guys are watching it. Hug your kids tight and make sure you tell them I love them. Thanks again, folks. Appreciate you. Bye.